Mic check. Mic check. right, this is the Holiday Island Advertising and Promotion Commission meeting, the regular meeting for January 6th at 6 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order, and first thing we'll do is we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Secretary, if you would take the attendance.
Vice Chairman Lawler,
Here.
Chairman Holland,
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Lodewijk, here. Commissioner Hall,
Here.
Commissioner Plumley.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
All right, very good. We have a quorum. Any changes to the agenda needed tonight? Any motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda. We have a
I
second.
second it.
We have a second. All in favor? Say aye. All right, moving on to the minutes. We have a regular meeting of December 3rd, 2024. I gotta think of the year at this point. We're in 2025 now.
Yeah.
Special meeting for December 12th, 2024. Has everybody had time to read over the minutes? And there was a change in the minutes on December 12th. Finally used the new system from our mics and converted that over. Secretary, you want to tell us how much time you saved from the old way to the new way?
The old way took me 6 to 8 hours. The new way took me 8 seconds.
Wow.
Big,
Glad they spelled my name right.
big difference in that. We did have, I think, one correction in here we need to change. There was a name spelled wrong in here.
Commissioner Lawler.
Commissioner Lawler had a name
It's
issue in there.
L-O-R.
So we do need to modify that one. We have a motion for anybody to approve the minutes with the admitted change to the last name.
Hall, I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second it.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to reports. Financial report. Secretary, you've got a financial report for us.
Yes, Lodewijk. Tabby Home, our paid bookkeeper, has now created a financial statement by month and the year to date through the QuickBooks. So you now see the schedule. And at the end of the year, we've been very cautious about how we spent our money. So we still have $5,090.36 left. There are outstanding bills like for the website, et cetera, that we have not received yet. But we're in good shape.
All right, does anybody have any questions about the new financials? There's a new layout, so there's something you don't see right off the bat. Let's talk about it and find it. Any questions? No? Everybody's good? All right, moving on to business then. We'll start with old business. Discussion on the tax form December 27th deadline. I know we did meet the deadline. All the certified mail letters went out to the STR owners. That was completed on time. Surprisingly, it took a little bit of time with Christmas, but those got out. Secretary, do you have anything else to add to that? I know you were doing those.
It only took us 4 hours at the post office to verify all the certifications, but they did get out on time. And we've already gotten some in proof that people are receiving them. They're signed the certificate and sending it back. So we're good.
All right, any other questions about the 27th deadline? If not, there's not any motions that we need to make on it. It was just an update of what was going on in the old business. If not, we'll move on to discussion on website. I was hoping that I would have enough to show today. We do not at this point in time. They're mostly working in the background data of everything. So hopefully by the next meeting, not only will we be online, but we'll be able to look over it and view everything. So they are actively working on it right now. Moving on to discussion on office space. There is in the form a rental proposal. Secretary, I'm going to let you read this off or give a description about it, and then we can talk about where we're at with all the other.
Okay, Lodewijk. The landlord at 6 Forest Park Suite B is willing to lease us an office room that's 13.5 by 8.5 for the work storage for the bookkeeper, for the confidential information from the short-term rental owners, for the tax receipts, and for the enforcement statuses. The rate is $200 a month from January to June, due the first of the month, and then $250 from July to December, the first of the month. And it also includes the waste, the internet, the water, and the electricity. So it's anywhere where it's available as of today, if we want to choose it. The purpose, of course, is to be distant from the city, have our own space for security purposes, and most all of the spaces we looked at were way too big, so the $800 to $1,000 is totally out of our range. This gives her a nice size office for a reasonable amount of money.
Now, as I say, when we were at the last meeting, we talked about sending a request to the city council for space. That has been done. I don't think we really got a reply out of the city council on
I don't think
space
we did.
available. They have some limited space, and we have not found a way to work with that, I guess, at this point.
And I'd like to make a motion to accept the rental proposal that I just read.
I'd like to, I'll second that with I guess, a change in that we revisit this contract to add some additional stuff. There's some parts missing in it as far as the term of how long that term is the rental. There's some other lease verbiage that's normally in there that can we put in that contract to make sure that it's whole.
Yeah. The reason I didn't increase the time was for us to decide if that worked well for her.
Okay.
And it also depends on, we're in part, he's securing $100 a month for another sign by someone else. So he's getting exactly what he's been getting for the term of the lease that he has. So
Okay.
he's very happy with having something like this. I just went for 1 year.
I guess what is do we have any idea of what the plan is after that December 2025? I mean,
Well, I know that he'll extend the warranty, not warranty, the agreement
Right.
as needed. If we want to do it another year, he'll okay here. All he looks at is as long as this man gets paid, he don't care who's in there.
okay. Yeah, I second the motion. What? Yeah, if you will, do a roll call vote for it, since it is a contract.
Yeah.
Financial part.
Vice Chair Lawler,
Yes.
Chair Holland,
Aye, yes.
Secretary Treasurer Lodewijk, yes. Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
Commissioner Plumley.
Yes.
It's been 100% approved,
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
We'll get that put in place and move forward with that, and it will save us some time of trying to deal with what we had to deal with to get space going. So. Moving on to discussion on Highway 23 billboard. Secretary, you probably have more info on this than I do. I'll let you have the floor again.
Yeah.
Hall.
Yeah,
Commissioner Hall, I'm sorry, not Secretary.
No problem. Yeah, we actually was discussing this on email today, so we've got it finalized on what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna get them the original photos of what I can. Now, there may be some trouble on the two photos I chose for the golf and the house there, so we may do something slightly different if it's not, the resolution isn't high enough. But anyway, I've got that in the works. He should have it tomorrow, and hopefully after that, he can put it, or they can put it together really quick. Yeah.
What's the timeframe on actually getting this up to them, and how long will it take them to complete it and put it up, do you know?
He didn't indicate that on the email when I asked it, earlier, but, you might know.
He's pretty fast. He wants to get it up.
Like,
So
ASAP.
we got priority.
So, I know this is a rather silly question, but, the golfer in the picture, do you think we could get somebody that looks a little more?
What is it? I didn't hear.
Yeah, he looks rather spindly.
Okay, yeah, right. Well, it was the, well, yeah, I get it. We'll work on
I mean,
that.
we don't want to say it's a totally retirement community. You know,
Yeah,
we
no,
wanna
I
be-
hear you, sure. Yeah, we can
yeah.
find
But, I
another
mean,
one.
if that's what you got, we'll take it. But-
No, I mean, that's what someone gave me, and it had someone in there golfing instead of just a picture of a green, but I've got plenty of others to choose from that are better. And the background was good, so, you know.
Yeah, the background's good.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're, I think, making headway on that, and probably I would think within the next couple of weeks he would have it up.
Okay.
Yep.
And we've already done a motion and approved this
Everything on it.
layout.
Yes.
Yeah, this is really
Depending on you
nice.
finishing the images and getting into them and
That's
everything else,
it.
right?
Yep,
So there's no motion needed to approve it. This is just an update of where it's at right now.
that's exactly right.
Okay. All right. Moving on down to discussion on funding by the city of Holiday Island. The city council did take our request for the 23,000 funding request under the funding agreement, and they did approve that. And so this is now the form or the process we have to go through of requesting that money each time we need additional financial parts of that $23,000 is the request that you got in front of you. So if there's any questions to it, let's talk about it. If not, then we have a motion to make to approve that request, then we'll send that off and that funding will take place. And this is on, I don't want to say a loan, but it's a repayment agreement. So if we are borrowing from that 23,000, it is in line to be repaid to the city of Holiday Island over the next period of time. Any questions on it? You have a copy of it? Does anybody want to make a motion to approve this one, send off to Mayor Dankeys and West Dilly to be
Hall,
paid out?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Lawler, I second it.
We do have a second, and we probably should go ahead and do a roll call vote since it does have to do with financial.
Vice Chair Lawler,
Yay.
Chair Holland,
Yes?
Secretary Treasurer Lodewijk, yes. Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
Commissioner Plumley.
Yes.
Unanimous, Mr. Chair.
We will send that one off tomorrow and get that one set. Moving on to discussion on Airbnb, VRBO, and other STR rental platforms. This is kind of an update of where we're at with these platforms. We have some platforms that have responded. They have put the things in place to collect the tax. They have gone through the process of how they're going to remit it, and they're set. There are some others that are very, they're non-responsive. They don't exist at this point. And unfortunately, at this point in time, the two largest, which is probably 85% of our tax collection, are non-responsive. So we could get to April 20th, the first distribution date of this tax, and 80% of the payers not be paying. And I know we've got a discussion coming up in the new business on discussion of legal services. That's kind of where that is. It's funny that they don't mix together right now at this point with that, but it's going to lead to legal services to start dealing with it. Yeah. So, that's an update of where it's at. Some are great, some of them are set, but it's a very small percentage of them. So, We'll cover more of that as we get on into the new business. Moving on to new business, Ken Brown has resigned from the seat and sent us a letter. Secretary, if you want to read that letter for us.
Okay. To Rich Figgins, District Manager, Commissioners Ralph Pinkley and Holland, gentlemen, after 8 years of non-consecutive service on the Holiday Island Board of Commissioners, I am submitting my resignation effective today, dated December 18th. I did not make this decision quickly or easily, but due to legal, family, health, and other reasons, I am doing so. Best of luck in working with the city and continuing to maintain this community as an excellent place to live. Infrastructure and maintenance, most important goal. Sincerely, Ken R. Brown, EDD.
So Commissioner Brown has had to resign due to the state statute of his appointment here on this board, being with HIAPC as a short-term rental of their campground. No longer allows him to sit on the board and causing him to have to resign after resigning from the HIAPC board. And so I think the only thing we need to do is approve that letter and motion for it and vote to approve it. I know it seems strange, but that is the process that's going to be done with it.
I make a motion to accept Ken Brown's letter of resignation from the AMP Commission too.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Lawler, I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Moving on to the next one, declaring an open position in the AMP Commission. We obviously have an open position to fill. Its seat is for short-term rental or vacation tourist business. And so over the next month, we should be looking for somebody to nominate and vote and appoint for that position. So if anybody finds anybody that wants to do that, and I know the application's starting to come in for the AMP permit, and there is actually a question on there asking if they want to do that. So over the next month, we should be getting more of those in, and we can look at those also. So I would expect we would try to fill that seat at the next regular meeting. That would be in February. Moving on to the next line of business, the grant request, the Arkansas Chili Cook-Off. Secretary, you want to give us an update on this, bring us into this? And
I'd like to introduce the chair of it. Steve, all yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Falkowski. I'm the operator and chief judge of the Arkansas State Chili Cook-Off. Cook-Off itself, this is going to be our ninth year here at Holiday Island. It's strictly a charity event. We've raised over $35,000 in the eight years for local charities. I have applied for a grant. On that grant money, I think I applied for $500, would strictly be used to buy ads in local paper and perhaps a radio spot or two. So we try to get the word out as much as we can on limited budget, but that $500 will help a lot to get some ads in local paper.
questions? Anybody have questions? Questions about the event, the application?
How many states would this entail?
How many
States?
states involved?
Yeah.
You mean the chili cook from
Yeah.
different states? Last year, we had cooks from 11 states. From Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Illinois, Kentucky, and then all the surrounding states. Just even though it is the Arkansas State Chili Championship, you do not have to be a resident of Arkansas in order to compete. Usually we have about 25 to 30 cooks.
Is there a limit on that?
On the amount of cooks, not really, but since our space is relatively small,
Sure,
we try to limit it, but that's never a problem.
yeah.
We,
okay.
we can handle a lot of them.
Right. When's the deadline? I'm sure it's probably on here, I'm just not looking at it. Is there a deadline for them to sign up?
No, actually, they could, the chili cooks could show up the day of
Wow, okay,
and cook. Yeah, we're pretty flexible on that.
okay,
We like to know ahead of time so we can assign some spots. for them to
sure.
cook. Now, let's go ahead, Peggy.
And now he's moved from the parking lot at the clubhouse to the barn. So
Right.
he has more room to spread
Oh,
out, not
okay.
only on the driving area, but also on the grass, should he decide to really expand.
Right,
The
okay,
barn should work out better, as Peggy said, there's a lot more room for the cooks,
Yep.
a lot more room for spectators to move around.
that's
and
right,
parking.
that's right.
And-
That's important.
And we're working with the clubhouse to provide like breakfast and all that, which they were used to doing at the clubhouse, but they might be able to do it at the barn.
Right,
Maybe so.
I've been in touch with Misty,
Mhm.
I guess.
Okay.
I'm expecting a call back
Okay, good.
from her, yeah.
That's good to know. I
Yeah,
like
but-
that you don't have to be from Arkansas to
No, no, in
participate.
fact-
That's great.
In fact, we might have maybe only three
A
or four
handful,
cooks.
okay,
from-
yeah.
from
Oh, wow,
Arkansas.
yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
Do a lot of people, it's on a Saturday? Is this
it's always
right?
on a Saturday, yep.
So do most of these people come into town and they stay here in town for the weekend to do
You
the
mean
chili cook-off?
You mean the cooks?
Mhm.
Oh, definitely. Most of the cooks will come in on Friday
Mm.
and stay over on Friday night, on Saturday night, and leave on Sunday.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
In connection with his Arkansas Chili Cook-Off, the chamber has a community connect where we have free booths for all the clubs, other organizations, the churches. And so it kind of doubled his involvement last year because people could be at the chili cook-off in between the red and the green chili. They went over and looked at the booths.
I see.
And they came for the
Okay.
booths and then go, oh, we're going to go look at chili.
All right.
So we're going to do that the same this year.
The,
Yeah,
the
that'd
event
be good.
itself is free, but if you want to sample some chili, it's $8
Yeah,
for a tasting kit, and that allows you to sample all the chili.
wow.
Yeah, but the nice part is the spectators will get to vote.
Oh, okay,
just for
yeah,
their favorite
right.
chili.
Okay,
Right. Yep.
neat, neat.
Yeah. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and
And
with
this-
9 years doing it now,
Yeah.
you've got some
Well, this is
traction,
my
people expect it.
involved with Chili Cooks. This is my 35th year.
Really?
I started cooking chili in '89.
Now, you're not one of the contestants, right?
I don't cook anymore. I don't cook
Okay.
anymore. We just score keep and chief judge.
Oh, yeah, no, that's great. We appreciate you coming, for
Oh,
sure.
thanks.
Absolutely.
And you think, on your application, you put in here about the estimated number of STR nights. You put 20 on here, so it's 40 people looking to stay locally
That's
Right.
for
right.
just that event alone.
Yeah,
The
and we
one
could,
problem, I mean, as you know, there's no place to stay in Holiday Island.
Yep.
But I got in touch with Holiday Lodging.
Yep.
Okay, I forget who I spoke to, the lady, the young lady? Ken, right. And so what I'm gonna do is, whenever the chili cooks, they always ask, is there a place to stay? I'll refer them.
there you go.
And then
Yeah, we
There's-
Lee in here
there's a
got
lot.
some also.
Yep, we've got, that we can, we'll have access to a bunch of these
Yeah.
soon where we're all in one place to be able to access them.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll
that's
be
what they want.
nice. That's
In
right.
years past, one of our sponsors was Rich Reagan. Is that my? Rick Reagan, and he, as part of his sponsorship, he gave the chili cooks five houses to stay at.
Is that right?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
free.
see, that's what I'm talking.
And
yeah.
they absolutely love.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Yeah, that's kind of
So
what I was
if,
thinking.
when a
of
chili
something like
cook, say from Kansas, calls and says, "Is there a place to stay?"
that. Right.
We have a place that they could at least
Abs-
call
Absolutely.
and square
Yeah.
away.
Well,
They-
that's a part that a lot of people don't understand too, is that we
Yep.
don't have hotels or motels here, but we have almost 100 places for people to stay in short-term rentals
Right.
and houses that are up for rent, so.
Right. And
Yeah, it's.
Believe me,
it's
I don't
plentiful.
live in Holiday Island. I'm just right down the road, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're,
know.
A lot.
well, people are about to find out.
Yeah.
We're about to tell them. So, yeah, no,
The
that's great.
charity for this year is Grandma's House.
Okay,
in Berryville.
yeah,
Yep.
great.
And then also Imagination Library.
Yes,
We
okay.
get some money too.
Yeah, two good ones, that's great.
There's no guarantee on how much money we raise for the charity. It really depends on, first of our expenses, and then on the amount of cooks we get, because cooks have to pay a fee
Right,
in order to cook, and then the gate,
yes,
and the sponsorship.
right.
Yeah. But we usually will average about $5,000 to $7,000 for the charity.
That's great, yeah. What a deal.
All right.
Just hope
Any
for
other
nice,
questions on it?
hope for nice weather that day.
And if anybody here wants a judge at the chili cook-off, just give me a call.
Oh,
Seriously,
I
I'm always looking-
felt something coming, Michael.
I'm always looking for judges.
All right, I'm gonna have to keep that in mind if I'm not driving my cart around taxiing people.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I did get to judge the last cook-off for the rib thing.
Oh, yeah, the ribs, that's right. Yeah.
I will say, I had no complaints from having to judge.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every minute of that. That's all I needed.
It is a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
right.
So,
That's fun.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
and the request is for $500. Is what's been requested for advertising.
Okay, I move that, this Lawler, I move that we approve the request for the $500 for the Arkansas State Chili Championship.
All right, we have a first for a motion for that.
I'll second that. Hall?
We have a second for that. Since it does have to do with the spending a grant, we're gonna need a roll call vote on it.
Commissioner Lawler,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye?
Commissioner Lodewijk's recluses due to conflict. Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Plumley. Aye. Okay, it passes, Mr. Chair.
All right, very good. Well, we will get that set in place and get that funded, and hopefully we'll see a bigger event this year than we've seen in previous years. All right, moving on from the grant request, discussion on legal services. So this is kind of a follow-up to the old business. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks for coming. Discussion on legal services. This goes back to the Airbnb and VRBO platforms. We do have an attorney that we use for the city and all the commissions for normal city work that has to be done. The question sits now on if we need to go look for additional legal only to deal with the contracts with Airbnb and VRBO. And I guess the timeline that we have is March 1st, the locations start collecting the tax. And so we need that done before then. And there may be some delay in the current route. Not saying that we won't continue to use the same legal that we have now. This would be a side part for just getting the contracts in place and fulfilled before the tax time comes. We have no quotes for anything, so it's pretty open-ended, but I wanted to put it in place that if we wanted to look at that option, we probably need to move on it sooner than later and get something going with that.
So we may have to go outside of our normal legal.
We may have to go outside
Just for this
to get that
instance.
moving.
So
yeah.
we would want to maybe look for another municipality that's, has that council in place that's already done that, I guess?
We'd probably look for some recommendations from the other AMPs on legal out of Hot Springs, Little
Yeah.
Rock, North Little Rock. Somebody that has dealt with and signed contracts for Airbnb. And we've seen the contracts. We know
Right.
they exist.
We just need to see.
The wording is nearly the same, but with having no response from either the legal department nor the tax department for either one of these,
It's
we
gonna
now have to send it off to legal to start doing some type of legal notice.
To get a reaction
To
from
get a
them.
reaction for it.
I get it.
I think really we should decide to go outside because we don't have any time.
You're right. I agree with that. Just don't even try to go through, I don't,
That's
mean,
why I
they've
wanted
never
to bring
done
it
it
up.
before, so they would just be going from start, almost like we would, except they'd have a few more advantages. I agree, we go find someone that does this.
That's why I wanted to bring it up tonight, because it is, Airbnb and VRBO will be probably 80+%
I guarantee
of
it
the
is.
AMP tax. So
Yeah.
if we get to April 20th and this still hadn't gotten completed,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
yeah, it's a mess.
a mess to get that in place, so.
I'd like to make a motion to allow Bryce to interview and to hire an attorney to handle the contracts for Airbnb and Verbos
Do you-
immediately.
Do you wanna put some type of limitation on amount in place of that? I'm trying to figure out how we would limit that to be, I mean, we can go to that, that's what's technically in there is the request from the city right now. That doesn't mean that that's gonna be the final answer to be approved.
Can we start with that? Or
We
what
could
do you
start
recommend?
with that, and I guess if we had some reply come back that was higher than that, then we could just run back to a special meeting to
Special
discuss
meeting, yep, yep.
the amount over that,
We would have to special
And-
meeting that
then
quickly.
put in a request to make the changes to that.
And then it's gonna be time after that, once that's even approved, before they even get to it.
And here we are in the beginning of January, and
Yeah.
March 1 is the
I
tax
agree,
collection
we
date.
go find someone immediately.
So then I'll use the motion up to 4,500 before you come back to the commission.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the search for legal services, and is that actually to do the contract and all? Is
Yeah,
that giving the
you-
approval for
giving
that,
you the
up to
approval.
4,500?
The contract up to 4,500.
All right, so we have a motion, do we have a second to that?
Longley, I'll second it.
Plumlee seconded it. This is financial also, so it will be a roll call vote also.
Commissioner Lawler,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye,
Commissioner Lodewijks, aye. Commissioner Hall,
Aye,
Commissioner Plumley,
Aye.
unanimous, Mr. Chair.
all right, we'll start moving on that one as quick as we can to get that going. I think it's pretty important that we can't wait around for it, so
Tomorrow.
for sure, yeah, yesterday.
we'll get that one rolling. Do what?
Last week.
Last week?
Yeah, that's how
I'll
soon
try to
we
get it on last week's schedule. Approval for drone services, Eureka Drone Solutions. They came in, it was our last meeting, last regular meeting, I believe,
That's correct, yeah.
and gave us all a presentation of that. Commissioner Law, you weren't here for that one, were you?
I don't think she was.
Okay. I want to say it was
The 12th?
I want to say it was the meeting of the 12th, I believe. I believe you were out of town on that day.
I think so.
Were you?
Came in late.
Maybe, I don't know, he had
Came
a
in late that
presentation up on the screen and.
Did you watch the presentation from the drone? Oh, okay.
you
Then
were
never
here.
mind.
Yep,
See, I'm talking a lot. I thought for a minute, but maybe not. Maybe that was somebody else sitting over here. And so the option here was something that we had to be somewhat restrictive on where we spend money right now. But we also don't want to lose the opportunity that puts us another year behind on some of the content.
absolutely.
And so this is on really a per call or per need. I think this would apply to the
That's-
chili cook-off festival that's
That's-
going on that we
that's
just talked
right.
about.
The
I think
snow
if we had
coming.
some snow events,
That's right.
we could get some footage from it. It's nothing that we want to necessarily put a whole lot of money into, but at least there's some content that we need to grab at different times right now than wait a whole nother year for that content.
Or sign a big contract that, holds you to something where this company's willing to come out as needed and not have any type of contract and,
And, well, that's the
So-
contract that's put in place,
Just as needed.
that's in the paperwork,
right.
is as needed. It is $60 an hour. We could terminate this at any given time too, in there. We do have the rights of the video and everything, full usage rights, and would own that content, unlike what we see right now. We have no ownership of content.
That's right.
That's a problem that we have. So this is kind of putting it on the back burner for when we need it. It's putting it in place. There's no rush out there the person's not gonna be out tomorrow.
We
shooting
don't need
video.
him tomorrow,
Unless there's snow.
unless there's snow.
Yeah, unless there's
We're gonna
snow.
wait till it greens up before someone's here for a while, but, yeah, and it's not exclusive. We can use other
That's correct.
drone companies and students and that sort of thing, which I have more information on. But, yeah, I like the way this is set up.
Yep. And so it's something that if we need it pretty short notice, we can get it and we can create the content.
Yep.
Not be another year behind,
No.
coming up with content,
Yeah.
so.
This snow event will be good to get, and I've got another guy coming to capture it this weekend, so.
Any other questions about this contractor? Any motions? Anything else you wanna talk about?
Hall, I make a motion to approve that contract.
Can you make a motion to approve the contract as is?
I do. I don't have any questions about it
Okay.
otherwise, unless someone else does.
I've got a question. Don't the address need to be changed? The primary principal place of business at 5 Fourth Park Drive?
It,
All
it
the
is
legal-
the
all the-
city address at this point in time.
But all the documents are listed like that now.
I think we'll change it once we get our new place, or will that still
Even
change?
then, we wouldn't have, walk-in service. The walk-in service for somebody actually paying the
Yeah.
tax would still take place here at the city office.
Right.
So we still got that hurdle to jump through. So I think the address is still going to stay the city. Our mailing address is different. It's a PO box.
Right, right.
But for contract purposes, we can definitely use the address here in that case.
Okay.
So
Good question, though.
Yep.
You have a first, you need a second.
we had a first, on this to approve.
Only I'll second.
We have a second from Plumley. And this is in financial contract stuff too,
Yeah.
so we're,
Okay. Commissioner Lawler,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
aye.
Commissioner Lodewijks, aye. Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Plumley.
Aye.
Unanimous, Mr. Chair.
And I want to put out one more comment to that too. There was some question asked, some STRs about how we were gonna advertise them. And I think that the possibility of using this drone to get some capturing footage of some Airbnbs would be a good way to get some content to show Airbnbs. And we're gonna have to find who would allow us to do this.
Yeah, that's something I was already kind of putting in place and working on. I've been in contact with some other owners for several different reasons, but this was actually one of them, to participate in content and that sort of thing. So we need to kind of have something. I don't know if we need something drawn up that they sign and agree to, or what we need, but
A
the few
release.
that I've talked to are interested in doing so, and it just, be a rotating type situation. Not one house or a couple of houses are gonna get all the footage and, that sort of thing, so, anyway.
We're,
yeah.
we're definitely gonna need some footage of some of these homes and
For
getting
sure.
it together, but that question has been asked, what are we going to do? We are collecting a tax from short-term rentals, what are we gonna do? And this is one of those things, just like the chili cook-off, it brings people here to wanna stay here. This is another one of those for the advertising. These things can be featured in parts of advertising to show different types of Airbnbs. Some people like all different types of things. So,
That's right.
And we might have, through Constant Contact, have their emails and then send them the 2025 calendar so they can advance. They know
that's-
that we're going to be recommending them at these various events.
These events, and that's what's gonna be part of that association thing once that takes place, but before then, just a mass email would be perfect. I could help put that together, yeah.
yeah, and I think we probably need to get an email together about
think
what the
so.
benefits are for
All
the
of that.
Airbnbs.
Yep. all
That,
of it.
they have definitely given me a list of questions on
Uh-huh.
what this tax is gonna do for them. Even from filling out the forms and everything else. And so I spent a lot of time on the phone today talking with them.
I see.
And I think we need to get some more information out.
Yep.
I already have a list of all of the owners and a separate list of all the managers, so if you wanted to draft a letter,
Just right,
then I could drop it in and we could send it out. It's free.
okay.
So
Okay.
I have a question. Does the APA Commission have a Facebook page?
Not-
Where we could possibly,
Well, that's-
if we did, we could allow them to put their picture of their Airbnb
Well, that's
on
being worked
the
on, I
Facebook
think, isn't
page.
it, Bryce?
And that doesn't cost anything.
No,
We do have the social media pages. We have not turned them on to this point. We went through
Right.
an issue of a social media policy in the city that was restrictive up to the point where we started working on changing it.
Okay.
I don't believe that all got changed in the regular retention. We got into part of the tax packs and stuff. This is something that probably needs to be pulled off the back burner and needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, I think the social media would be
And
advantageous.
I'll review it again. I know there was a push for a
Instagram.
change in that, but I don't remember if the change actually took effect or not, or took place. I know there were parts of it, but I think there was parts of it that were still restrictive on what we can do.
Well, once that gets going, I'll be happy to help put those together, Instagram page and all of them. I think it would be a good thing for sure. Yeah.
It's definitely on my list, and we talked about it before the passing of the tax, before we got into all the public meetings. It was something that we sent a request to the city council to make a change to that.
That's right. Yeah.
And I could not tell you right now off the top of my head how much of that actually got changed, and we need to relook at it.
I haven't heard anything, so yeah, we need to look at it again soon. So maybe I can get on that as well.
I'll look into it. I know we do have them, they're just not active.
Right. Right.
So
and then once we,
they are there.
I mean, are they ready to go and just go active, or we still need to spruce things up? And
They're there ready to go active. So
Okay,
they're
wow.
just in the dormant part right now.
Okay.
No posting to it. I don't even think that they are viewed publicly at this point, but they are there set and ready
okay,
to do.
we just need to find out if we can do it.
And
for
I
the
can
city.
review the city's resolutions and all and see if that got released or not. If not, we may call back and do a meeting. We have, in the past, we have run off the city's record retention and social media policies that they already had in place for the city. It doesn't mean that we have to run off those. We can write our own for those. We are an independent commission, but we've tried to stay jointly with the city as much as we can with those types of things. But if I review it and we can't do it, we can always write our own policies and procedures for it.
Right,
So
which we may need to do.
I'll look at that this week, and if it is something, then we can call back a special meeting coming up soon. to
I think
get that
it'd be
changed.
impressive once that gets going, because I think that'll make these STR owners feel a little bit more like, look, this is actually happening. They can't see or feel any of it. They're just getting
Right.
information saying, give me your money.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that'll be huge, number of areas.
I'll review it this week and get something on it.
and that's
Okay.
also why the bulletin board's so impressive, to get it up right away.
Right, exactly, yeah. I mean, it's January, so we got events lined up, right?
Moving on to the next item of business, discussion on payment processing and online filing. I'd like to do a motion. I didn't write any resolution for this, but we didn't on the forms themselves, on the tax forms. We did not allow the application nor the monthly filing to be emailed. I know we stopped the digital filing of stuff through the payment processor and all those types of things because of cost. But I'd like to make it, this issue's come up this weekend, I guess, of people living in Texas and Florida and Oklahoma and other places that it's much more convenient for them to email in the forms than it is to go through the whole mailing process of the application forms. We did not put that in the regulations, and I didn't think about it at the time of doing it. We did everything by mail. So that's what part of this discussion is about. The other one is I do have a meeting later on this week with a payment processor, a government processor for tax collection and filings. And so we'll have some better ideas for the future on that after Friday's meeting. But in the meantime, I'm hoping we come up with a solution for at least some digital part of these applications that
To be submitted,
to
yeah.
be submitted instead of
Yeah.
going through the standard mail.
Only, the only problem with that is it goes to the junk folder or spam folder. Somebody's gonna have to constantly be checking the spam folder and
Yeah,
junk folder
maybe.
every day. I get emails from my office manager and I have to go to the junk folder sometimes to find it.
I think once it reaches their email, I don't know what technically it is between it, but it recognizes like the next time and it doesn't go to the junk mail.
No.
No. Every
Like I
time.
said, I get it from my office manager.
Every time. yeah.
Sometimes it's where it's supposed to be, other times I'm like,
Yeah.
what's
that's
it doing in the spam folder?
Yeah.
Which we do have an issue with this, and the issue is the payment and the form is supposed to be submitted the 20th of the month or whatever else.
Right.
And that form, I guess, the reason why it's always done through mail is that the postmark of the envelope is what makes the date valid.
Yeah. Right.
An email,
Where's the digital stamp?
I've never seen the email date that it's emailed as be the date that
Right.
is done for that purpose. It could be not received, a server error goes down. There's nothing
the junk
confirming that
mail,
it's sent
right.
and it was done.
Yeah, you'd have
like
to
a
have a read
postmark.
receipt, but they have to click it. They have to go to the junk mail to find it to click it. So I see what you're
Yep.
saying. Yeah. That's a
Um,
mess.
So we're looking for solutions at this point.
Uh,
Of, can we take those applications digitally? I believe we can take the applications digitally.
we certify
take
that they
those.
were received?
That's an issue. That's,
Like I said, you
Yeah.
can fill it out and mail it, email it, but if the server goes down, it may not be delivered till the next day.
yeah.
Or
So
sits in
do
a
we
junk
charge them a
folder?
penalty because
Yeah.
something out of their control?
Well, I mean, I guess, and this is two different items. The application being emailed in is different than the tax form being
itself,
mailed in.
yeah.
The tax form does have a deadline period of which causes assessment of tax and
That's the postmark
penalty, and
issue there.
That's correct.
That's where the postmark comes into play.
Yep.
Not the application, but simply for the actual tax form. Yeah.
And we're still dealing with some of the Airbnb and VRBO stuff that's going on, but we still have the issue of, let me give you an example. Vacasa is set up and ready to go in this whole deal. They even go as far as they complete the forms for every house that they have in the management part.
Wow.
We will not be the owners filling out the forms for that. They will be reporting what they
For the
send to the
owner.
owners for them.
I see.
And I know we're gonna have that here at the next meeting. I'm still getting all that together. But we're trying to find a way to create a separate form for multi-location filings. You have that issue too.
What she's getting every month from me.
And it's the same for these other ones,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Vacasa and
that's
all,
just
of
mine.
how
I
do we
can't-
do that? It's something I'm working on. It is nowhere close to being correct or ready to show or ready to do anything with. But I see the need for it here. Vacasa is gonna do that. Are they gonna fill out 10 forms for 10 houses and send them all in and remit the
Yeah.
payment? It's a problem.
We'll see.
So,
How many properties do they have? Here.
kind of unknown at this point. The geolocation part they haven't completed. Now, as far as the permitted visible accounts you can see right now, I believe it's 5.
Okay.
So, there may be more, there may be less. It depends
Yeah,
on
right.
the time, but
Right.
they need some process of what to fill out and do. And they've asked if they could have a single form to report by address or permit number on a single form than filling out multiple things. So you have the same question, I'm sure, of how to do this. So this multi-filing part, we probably have to explore, and I haven't talked with Tabitha yet about it, but I think it's something we're going to look at.
Plumley, here's a suggestion. I mean, it's put the permit numbers, like Vacasa's, have their permit numbers consecutive. And then on one form, this is for AP permit number 1 through 6.
I guess the issue with that would be, how do you have them consecutive if they register one later on in time? the accounting system is gonna start at a certain number and start, automatically registering numbers going forward. If they put in a new location at some point, there'd be no way to put them next to each other. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this multi-filing, and you have the same issue with having the multiple locations.
Like a, notation with the permit number, like V1 to V6, then if they add one or take one away, take that one and add to, put the V7. That would be a notation of, okay, this is Bacasa, this is VRBO, this is for Airbnb. Have just
Maybe.
a certain notation on there to kind of separate the numbers out.
Might be able to. It's just starting now because these questions will all come up this weekend
Oh, yeah.
on not only Vicasas, other people that have multiple locations, because it is a pretty extensive form to fill out
Well, we keep saying
28
Bacasa, but they
times
changed. That's true.
for a single place. So we probably need to look at this multi-filing part. And then the question comes too, is just because a person is submitting the form, and let's say an individual sends the form in and it's postmarked the 20th, that form is received, but the money is not received until the location pays that money. Penalties and dues can still come in place. Now, they would be due by the collector of that. So there's some other hurdles that are in there. Yeah, your homeowner has filed the paperwork correctly.
That's right.
I think we have to look at that one and see what's there, but the question is, do we want to take these forms from the homeowners digitally? I know the application is a simple one, but are the forms? Just see if he goes at it every once in a while. I don't know. Solutions? I'm trying to find a way. They've all complained about the time it takes to get something in the mail, fill out the form, send it away.
Right.
We could send them a digital PDF to fill out on the computer and just turn around and email it back to us, which would save them paperwork, filling out the paper, putting it in the mails, the cost of putting it in the mail. If we let them do it digital somehow, we would do that same digital part online if we had that function going. The email's not a whole lot more different than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, doing it online certainly makes a lot more sense than having to, if they really want to print it out, they can print it off their computer and mail it,
They
but
definitely-
having it done
they don't wanna
digitally
do that.
online, yeah, that just,
Yeah, they definitely don't want to be doing that.
We just never wrote anything up or put anything on any of the forms that would allow them to do it by email.
Right.
So I guess I don't know exactly what I'm looking for. Am I
bet.
looking for a motion that we can
Yeah, I
email
know,
them?
right.
Is there a process that we want to make for that? I know we have some resolutions that are in place that we would probably have to amend that process also.
Well, that's what I was going to make a motion of, is that we amend that initial situation there to include email. I don't know, or does that take more time than to put together just a,
I think if we were gonna approve it to allow the email of the forms at this point in time, it would be, a motion to approve that the applications and forms can be emailed, in a temporary basis for a resolution to be rewritten
Yeah.
and approved in the future. I think that'd be the best way to put it.
Some
I'm
kind of
trying to think
solid
of what
ground
the current
later.
solution is to fix it, because there's
Right.
not enough time to rewrite this now
Right.
to do it.
Yeah. We're just
But
kind of thinking
I know
out
with
loud.
the phone calls that I've gotten, all of the STR owners outside of town are looking for a solution that would make it easier for them to take care of the paperwork.
Yeah, it's the first thing they thought of when they got it.
Yep. So,
Yeah. So we do need a temporary situation like you're talking about until that can be resolved on a
Yep.
more permanent basis.
yep.
So it's basically making a motion to temporarily allow the email submission for application and tax form until we have the final resolution drawn up to allow that. Is that,
I think so.
I make that motion.
So Lawler, I second that motion.
So we have a first and a second. Let's do roll calls, since we did a roll call with everything else tonight.
Commissioner Lawler,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Lodewijk's aye, Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Plumley,
Aye.
Mr. Chair, all agreed.
All right, so I will get with Tabitha on sending out something real quick by email. We have everybody's email address to update them that they can send that stuff by email,
Yep.
and put something in quickly to make it easier for them to get that paperwork to us.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to go back through the resolutions to find that wording.
Switch
We'll
that
probably
around.
also have to make a change to the form to allow that part,
And just agree on those at the same meeting, you know.
and then
whatever we can.
create of a digital version of this form to put stuff in.
Uh-huh.
And we can actually put the formulas in there to calculate the tax that's in there based on the first numbers given and the data given.
Right.
So I was just looking for a temporary
Fix there, yeah.
fix to,
Well, the phone calls you got, when they get that email, they'll be like, wow, that was quick.
well, that's the part
They're
for
on
it
it
is that
down there at HI.
we don't want to make it necessarily more complicated
We
for
do
them to
not.
do business.
We do not.
But we
Yeah.
still have to have the data and the information to be able to go after the money that is due.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's kind of the issue that we're running into.
Yeah,
It's,
and
it's
it's
an
time.
inconvenience for some things, but
It's just a timing thing.
it's time.
you know.
And as I explained to some of them, the cost of putting in the digital system of receiving the payment, taking the form and everything, was too much right now for us to explore that route. That we still have it on the list to come back and explore it later on. But to get things going before March 1st, it was
Yeah,
impossible for us to do it.
That's possible.
So, that's all the business we have. Commissioner comments.
I was noticing today or yesterday, actually thinking, the A&P tax goes into effect March 1st, correct?
That's correct. That is the date that the tax starts being collected for renters.
Okay, I have reservations coming in now for July, June and July, so they don't have to pay that tax. So that's gonna throw all tax papers completely haywire.
I have been called on this multiple times this weekend also. This one, I do not have an answer for that one yet. Technically, as it says, the booking itself is the date that you collect the tax on it. Now, variable with that is there are some that have said they have already collected the money for that date, and so there was no tax due when they collected the money. And I would agree that that tax would be due on the month that you collect the money. So in turn, Vacasa also had this issue, but they do not collect the money until the visit happens, and so they will have to put in that A&P tax because that will be in June or July. So right now, the interpretation that I have is if they have already paid at this point, no, there won't be any tax on that visit. If they have not paid and they are paying at the time of visit, that tax will be active at that point in time. Now, I'm up for discussion for that one because it is one that has come up multiple times this weekend.
Okay, we, Holiday Island Lodging, require half down, half deposit down. Therefore, you cannot tax what they've already agreed to. Now, with Airbnb, if they reserve through Airbnb from now, and it's, let's say, June, on their reservation, it says, okay, your total is this right now.
I know.
Now, come June, that 3% tax has already been added,
It's not collected.
but
by
it's
the-
not collected.
It's not collected
But-
by the owner until they show up. I mean,
correct.
they
So
don't
how
have
did
any-
they, how is that gonna get justified?
I have not found a solution for that. All I know is it is the time that the hand trades money, if that tax is active or not. I do know that one.
Are you referring on, the money that they're putting half down to reserve it? Is that what you're referring to?
Airbnb does it require half now.
No, no, I know, I'm talking about on yours.
On ours, yeah.
Yeah, so
It's
you're
including the
referring-
taxes and all that.
Uh-huh,
Let's
okay.
say the total is $1,000, taxes included, we collect 500 right up front.
Uh-huh. And so
That-
at that point,
at that
you're
point-
saying you've exchanged enough. That's not necessarily a deposit, it is partial payment of
Partial
their
payment,
booking.
yeah.
And you've given
It'd
them
be
an amount
different,
of
an
their
amount to
total booking in the
total. So if
future.
it was an actual deposit, then it would be different possibly. But it's actually part of the booking charge. Anyway, that's a whole separate deal.
It is a problem. Now, I've
That's a
read through
problem.
it multiple times. I've looked this up this weekend. I probably spent 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours on this, trying to dig this one up. And it does say that it is when the transaction of money happens, if it falls within that tax time or not. I mean, it's
Yeah,
the
I don't-
same,
I
give
don't
the
get- example
example of when you collected money. If you collected money for a booking and December 31st, it would be on 2024's tax stuff.
That's right.
And when you collect the rest of it in July of 2025, it would be on 2025's tax stuff.
That's right.
And so
just
that
wherever it
date
falls.
does not
Yeah.
change no matter where it's collected. That
Yeah.
it would be taxed on that amount. Now,
I think
how do
most-
you implement that?
I think most cases I mean, it's not gonna be too big of a deal, I don't
And it's a
think.
one-time
We ju-
deal,
it's
too.
This is it.
It's a
This
one-time
first
problem that
time
comes
going through.
up.
Next year, this is not the case. And every A&P goes through this.
It does.
I mean, because of the fact that the election doesn't happen till the end of the year, doesn't give you enough
Yep.
time to set it all up. So
Yep.
this is just a growing pain, and it won't come back.
That's correct. And I spent some time looking at it.
Okay.
I've had the same complaint.
Yeah.
Of people either taking it apart, they've already given quoted the amount to it, what do they do with it?
Yep, yep. I get it.
Unfortunately, I can't say for them not to collect the tax on money paid in June or July, because the way that it reads is very specific on when you collect that money, that tax is due. I have a problem with this one too. It's probably going to go to legal for it. I'm gonna tell you from everything that I've read so far, I mean, you've collected the money and the tax is due. I haven't found a way around that one yet.
Let's say, I mean, what I'm saying is, let's say you call Holiday Inn in Las Vegas. You want to reserve a room in August. They quote you a price on the phone,
Yep.
$600. All of a sudden you get out there, oh, we've implemented a new tax. You're going to have to pay that new tax since they quoted you that price.
I'm with you, but did they pay for that when they booked, or
They
they pay for
quoted
it when
the
they got
price.
there?
No, they didn't. No money got collected, but they quoted you that price.
That's the kicker, is it's when you collect the money, if that tax is in place, you have to implement that tax.
So then I would suggest that they start quoting it now. That they start quoting
But
it.
there are I mean, I get his point, because there are the
Tax.
systems that, like Vacasa, will not turn this on until March the 1st.
Right,
They won't put it in. Same for Airbnb or anybody else.
okay,
This is a problem. Yep.
So
Yeah.
that is a problem. I mean, from here to March 1st, any bookings that take place regardless of what time of the year it is in this year, that's gonna be a part of the problem.
Yep.
There's gonna be some owners that maybe have to eat, I don't know how that's gonna work out.
Yeah. I don't have an answer for that one at this point. I did look at the part of when that money is collected, and it would say that money has to be taxed, because it's also gonna come in as part revenue for that month when you go to file that month. So if, let's say, all of your bookings were in February for all of your March ones, and you file for March that you collected, let's call it $5,000, and yet there's no return for that month. How do you justify that you know when that booking took place? That there's no exemption from the amount of tax during the period of time where the tax is implemented. I get the question. I've had it a lot this weekend. Can you tell? Yep. No, it really is. It's a question that has come up this weekend multiple times. Same for Airbnb owners getting the forms and the stuff that are going through the same process now of business licenses. And now it's another step that they see. In most cases, when I talk to them, they use Airbnb or VRBO, and their process is going to be very little. So they thought they were going to have to find some way of collecting that tax themselves and redeeming that tax. So I think there's some more either education part or information that we can put out that will explain to those users that it's not taking an additional check from them or some other action other than reporting the numbers needed if you're under Airbnb or VRBO or some of those other ones. So there was quite a bit of confusion in who was doing what. Yeah, I think that's going to take some time. Any other comments?
Anybody on the line tonight?
We've had a few people online, but it is open for public comments. We can give them just a minute to see if there's any questions that they have. There's about a 10 to 15 second delay in the system, so we'll give them just a minute to type whatever. So yeah, you do have any other comments or you have any questions about things coming up, we can still cover that while we wait on their comment.
Can we take a motion to get warm weather here?
Yeah.
I would love to
I
have
second that.
a little bit warmer weather at this point. While we wait on the public
Yeah, let's
comments,
do
we
that.
can go on to the scheduling. We can do scheduling while we wait for them to either type comments, questions, and we can come back to their questions and comments when they come up.
Okay. Our normal meeting's the first Monday of the month, so that would be February 3rd at 6 o'clock here.
Okay? February 3rd, you said?
3rd.
That would be correct. Do we have time for a workshop or a special meeting sometime later in January? I don't necessarily have something to put on the agenda yet, but there is a big change coming up in the enforcement and collection resolutions that I've been working on. Unfortunately, it's some 80 pages long, and so it's not something that we're just going to come in here and read through like we had in the first 4 or 5 pages to meet the deadline and stuff. It's much more detailed on what'll happen. And in fact, I'm going to have to go back and revisit some of those parts with the things that have come up this weekend to see what we do about the filings and all. So at some point, we're going to come back and talk about that for that.
2 weeks. The 17th. Monday the 17th, that's President's Day.
That's Friday.
On February.
Oh, February. You want to do it after the February? I was talking about in January, because I was hoping we could hear and review it in February,
Okay.
but we might have to delay out of that too.
Major HIAPC meetings every Monday morning.
Yeah. When is the next city meeting? The 21st?
Yes.
You can't do their planning commission. When do they do their meeting? Is that
14th.
the 14th? And then also the possibility of running back in here because of the legal search that we're going for we might have to have approval on
Well,
something too, so,
If it's higher than the 45.
yeah.
Well, none of us go to the Elks, really. You got the 22nd, or Wednesday, or Wednesday the 15th. When do you think you can?
It's another problem too, is time. Yeah, let's just leave it off, and when I get to a point, I can just call the meeting, the special
Okay.
meeting, and we'll just put it in then planning, getting to it, because I'll get tied up
Okay.
with something else and not get done with it. And if I've got to call back for the legal part, we may have an answer as early as Friday, and we'd have to put something in and go with it. So I'm fine with leaving a special meeting out. So we just have the February 3rd as the next regular meeting. And looking back at the public comments, there are no comments right now. They have not typed anything in place, so we'll continue on. Announcements. Secretary, any announcements of anything coming up? Nope. All right. Anybody got a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion,
Hall?
and we have a second.
Plumley, I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
This motion is adjourned then.
Good
Well,
night.
this meeting is adjourned.
Sharon,
I want to say thank you, because I feel like we really accomplished something, and it was professional, and everybody agreed on stuff, and that's just like